different kind of view of success depending on what the component is that's coded and how it's used and what industry it's in. So that's part of that upfront work of really understanding what they view as success and how it's going to be measured, and making sure that everybody's on the same page on what that finish line looks like.
Yeah. So then once you have that clear expectation and all of that background knowledge, I'm like ready to look at potential Teflon coating solutions for the trial, right? So now we're talking Teflon coating solutions?
100%. Yep.
All right. Okay, so let's do it. Mike, if I'm a good Teflon salesperson and know the product line well, am I just going to like rattle off what I think is going to work? Or because at some point, I'm sure salespeople especially want to stop asking the questions and start flexing with their knowledge, right?
Right. And that's really when we get brought into these things. I mean, we're there to really speak about the technical and performance characteristics of the coating in concert with the application expertise that our customers bring to the table. So we're kind of showing up as like, the Dumb and Dumber of solutions, two guys rolling in. So, but that's really where it is. And so, we understand this stuff, and that obviously puts us in a spot where we can start rattling off some things that we think will work well. But we also want to make sure that we're doing this in conjunction with our customers, because the last thing we're going to do is recommend a system that's going to be hard for them to apply to a lot of parts, based on how they're set up. So, or maybe, powder versus liquid, one coat versus multiple coat. Like there's a lot of things that might go into the product selection. So, before we would start kicking stuff out, it's almost like, all right, hey, I'm thinking this might be 420, and so you kind of can do it with the customer because you want to make sure they're involved and they're bringing value as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we usually will want to give 2, if not 3 coating options: a good, better, best, maybe a low cost one, a mid range, an expensive one, or some things like that, because we want to take advantage of the trial time. The last thing we want to do is provide one solution and it fails. Now we look like we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, and then it's like the Teflon brand carries the name of this failure for just because it's the wrong coating or something.
Yeah, I tried Teflon, didn't work.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
You guys have never heard that.
I mean, and we know that a lot of times cost is a factor with people. So we do usually like to have some lower, like a one coat in there if possible, so we have that option. It doesn't mean we want to play that card, but it gives us some results. And in fact, frankly, it's good if the one coat doesn't work and the other ones do, because now we can use that as further evidence to say, look, this isn't an easy application. You can see that one didn't perform as well as these. So it justifies the additional cost to get the performance. So
you have a very physical, like you get what you pay for in this,
Yeah. And if all 3 pass, then they're going to take the one that's the cheapest for sure.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. But yeah, so, we want to, work with the customers to create some options to go into test, and so ultimately the results of that test will help us to narrow down which coating is going to be the best candidate for the long-term success.
Excellent. Okay. So, outside of those, performance benefits, and that would be a very easy, like, it's almost the top of mind value to cost ratio. Are there other benefits that customers realize from switching to Teflon coatings versus whatever their coating solution is?
There very well could be things like, improvements in product quality or product consistency, or, a number of different things. And a lot of times we kind of know what they might be when the trials start, but it's during the trials that we can kind of watch these secondary benefits and see how they play out and see if they really are valued or not. And because then it's just a matter of being like, hey, I noticed our stuff, like the first bake on that loaf of bread looks the same as the 10,000th bake, versus your old solution, the glaze, it looks different after a month. Does that mean anything to you? Like, you can tell by their reaction real fast whether it has like perceived value or not. Like, are they going to pay more for it? Maybe, maybe not. But if we have some secondary benefits that create a better solution and create more value, then that just helps for us to have a better overall value proposition and better chance of success to win that job.
That's great because it's probably different people along the value chain will have different priorities in terms of what they
Hmm.
see as the cost benefit, right?
Yeah, but different
So,
people in the plant will
yeah.
have different views of what they think is the best thing for them based on their job function. Absolutely
Mhm.
right.
Awesome. All right. And this is great. So then salespeople are like, great, this is feeling good. But I think that there's probably more we need to uncover. So, where are we going from here, Wolfie? It sounds like we have some options, good, better, best. Everybody seems to understand the parameters. We've set the expectations, we've done the background. Now what, Wolf?
Well, now you get to a point where you're like in prototype stage, and
Mm-hmm.
are they willing to do that? And obviously, it's better when they do, when they commit to it and they're willing to pay for prototypes and things like that, because we've done enough things where we've given away coding, or there was no skin in the game, and there was no follow through either. whatever that
Shocking.
little whatever that little pain was went away, and they just like I said, the can just sits on their desk. It's a paperweight now or whatever. So I mean, and we're definitely willing to partner up, but when you both are involved, it's going to go way better, and your chance for success go way up. But then you got to also look at, like, who does success matter to in that organization? Like, who are the people that are suffering from this? Is it the line manager, or is the regulatory guy, or the quality guy? And it's
Mhm.
nice to, have those folks be a part of it, or address them too, that they know that they're being either thought about, or they're the ones that are going to be affected by this solution. And unfortunately, what if we don't find a solution, or what if the solution we proposed didn't work? Well,
Hmm.
at that point, there's always a chance to go. You can revisit. I mean, go back. Did we miss something? Because what we were talking about is, like, one guy comes to the door and he's got this huge pain, sore thumb or whatever. But what Mike was saying before, like, maybe there's a few other sore fingers in there too, that other little pain
Some
points that
numbness and
maybe I
tingling.
I can I can address for sure. So you don't always get it right the first time. I mean, we'd like to say we do, but maybe you don't. But maybe there was something we didn't understand. And hopefully there's openness to continue down the path of looking for solutions. And with Mike's suggestion before, where you go good, better, best, hopefully they took us up on that, and they did that,
Yeah.
where maybe just the good one was okay, but oh man, when I used those other two solutions, man, they perform great. I just got to figure out which one I want to use. So hopefully that happens.
Hmm.
And then in a kind of a weird scenario, are there factions in your organization, like maybe a union or something, who might not be all that fired up about your solution? They have, like, people that do work, and that their job function is to, you know, fix, scrap parts, or whatever, and or
You're gonna
clean
take that
grates.
job away from
Or
them. Yeah, there's
exactly, and I'm gonna lose. Like, I used to soak these guys with overtime, cleaning paint crates, because they
That's
were
the
never
one,
coated.
Wolfie. That was the
Things.
one. The overtime, the Saturday cleaning of the paint grates. We took that away, and pretty soon our parts went away. We don't know what happened to
Yeah.
oh,
So who's that guy that's laying in the weeds, that's going to be the one that can put a nail in this job and be like, no, it's not happening. And we'll do whatever
oh
to
my
to have a
gosh.
Yeah,
failure. So
it's kind of interesting to see those political situations, Francesca, where you're. I think I probably told you, you're walking through the plant with somebody he's like the quality person or something, and you can see the people like looking at this guy with disdain. They just don't like him. He's always stirring it up, making their lives easier, and so right away that like whatever you bring to the table isn't going to get received well because
yeah,
you're with him as opposed to you're rolling through with the guy that is like the everybody respects and is well liked and he's a great guy and then now you feel much better that you're working with like a level playing field on the
yeah.
tests.
I don't have a
Yeah.
saboteur laying in the weeds
Saboteur.
somewhere.
First time ever that word's been said on the
That's
show.
right. That's right. It took me
Wolfie.
it took me the last 3 minutes to think of it. I was like, there's a word for that.
And things seem to be moving forward. And so it's like, yes, we understand everything. Let's go to trial. Everyone's committed. So woohoo, now we're good to go. Or what happens next?
You're almost there. You're almost there. I
Okay.
mean,
All right.
you've
It's
got
been a
all the
road.
information. You've got the information you need to to start. But there's a couple small things left that you've got to address. And one is making sure that they're going to test and have a reliable way and consistent way of testing our parts. So here's an example. A lot of times we're there to replace something like a temporary release agent. In an automated line, they'll have like a robot that will apply the release agent to the uncoated molds that are going around. In this case, the one I was thinking about was a headrest mold for a car. So it
Hmm.
was a polyurethane foam was being used, release agents being used. We were proposing a Teflon coating in there. So, but what you want to make sure happen is that coating doesn't get release agent on it because now it's not going to perform very well. So, one of the final details was like, okay, so how are you going to make sure that when this coating or when this part comes up, it doesn't get the release agent? Because it's like an unmanned robot, right? So
Yeah.
they had a way that it would scan a barcode on all the different tooling as it came around. So when that barcode came up, it knew to just index past it and not spray. That's what they told me. But then like 2 weeks later, they're like, yeah, now I got release agent sprayed on it.
Yeah.
So,
Either
but
that or the release agent's just going all over the shop anyway. And it's like, worked for a while, but it's almost impossible for us to do that. And it's like,
yeah,
Hmm.
great.
there's especially like the robot was almost the one I thought it would be dummy proof, right?
Yeah.
Normally it's a guy standing there spraying it or a woman
Right.
or whatever, and it's fine. Like especially if we have a coating like ruby red, that'll stand out. It visually look good. But
Sure.
if it's a black coating and they're already using a black coating, like it does get hard sometimes. So we definitely want to have ways to reliably have consistent trial with the parts because
Because you need to
it's
track that
mhm,
performance difference from these other
Sure.
black painted things that
right.
aren't Teflon coated. And if they just all look the same and they're handled the same in the material, then you might lose track of what you're actually
Taints
tracking.
Yeah,
taints
and
the
like
trial. Yeah.
Yeah.
and sometimes what they'll do is they'll be like, hey, at the end of every week, we take all the parts and we burn them all off. And then on Monday, they're all clean and we start fresh. We're like, all right, don't burn ours off. We want to run this. Hopefully, this thing runs for 3 months. Like, we want to really let this thing run so we can see how good our coating is. But inevitably, there'll be times when they'll be like, sorry, dude, we burned all your molds off and, you know, trial's over. So, like,
So that means that they actually, these are also people that not only will they be able to track the differences, then they have to be able to share that information back with you, right? Because you're not there as the trial's going on collecting all this.
no, like a lot of times we do like to be there to see things and to watch because I mean we learn a lot from watching
Yeah.
these different things, and that's really where you pick up on a lot of those secondary benefits too, is
Hmm.
seeing how things operate in the plant and things like that. So, but yeah, we're not there all the time. We can't be. Our customers can't be. They don't want us there all the time, anyway. But yeah, it's we that data set is what we're really after. That's the gold right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so this is when it feels like the job's done, but it's not. Because we've got the background on the project, we've got the current solutions, we know what success looks like. We have the Teflon coating candidates for the trial, we have the details of the trial, everybody committed, move forward, and the trial is actually running. And then all done.
I mean, you're getting there.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is where you tie everything up and create one nice little package. This is where all the data you've gathered at the beginning of what their current costs were. Now you can compare your cost and your performance of your candidate versus what they were paying before. And you can start doing some serious extrapolation on what this would mean for them long term if they switch to this and they utilize this sort of thing. And if you know how much release agent they're using, as an example, and you cut that out because they don't have to use release agent anymore. I know what that cost
Yeah.
savings is. I know
Right.
what the cost savings in their cleaning can be. I know what the cost savings is to them on rejects. We can, calculate a lot of these things so that, like, ultimately, what we want to help deliver is here's what you're doing now, and here's what it would look like down the road if you switch to this coding, and make it so compelling that anybody in their right mind would absolutely jump all over
Right.
the opportunity. So
Harder to refute. Yeah. 'Cause you
yeah,
got the data.
but it's dependent on getting all that all the data. So,
Right.
you can get it along. You can always, get it moving in the right direction, but then you'll have to the more vague your data is, the more holes that there are potentially for somebody at the plant to say, those numbers are bullshit, because it's not really legit.
Up for
Like,
interpretation now.
yeah, because there's always, like, I always feel like in every trial, like the bigger the trial, the more likely there's going to be somebody that pops in. He hasn't been in any meetings, hasn't been on any emails. All of a sudden, somebody rolls in at the 11th hour and has like a million hand grenades he's throwing all over the room and trying to blow the thing up. Like, it happens all the time.
Yeah, even with, I'm sure, that legwork that you do in the beginning of, okay, all the decision makers in, okay, we all agree to this, parameter for success. And then last minute, Molly comes in and is like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or your person is now suddenly fired. Or like, he's retired.
yeah,
He's
we definitely
retired
run
now.
into
And you're
that.
like,
Yeah.
oh, God damn it.
Or
Start over with this
It's a
new
huge setback.
relationship.
current
Yeah.
vendor just took him on a golf trip, and now he's like, no, everything's working fine. We fixed it.
Yeah, that's a death blow. If you're calling to check in and it's like, oh, the other everything's fine now. We're good. And you're like, ooh.
You got played. Yeah.
I mean, that happens. I mean,
Yeah, I imagine
Why you
that
have those
it's
trips.
easy too. Like it's easy to think because you're, as the Teflon salesperson, you're excited about a big opportunity, and so you want to, like, yes and your way through the whole thing. And as you're having these conversations, you're like, yeah, let's get to this because I know I can prove myself and my product to be superior. But if you skip any of those steps, if you try to rush it, you're really setting yourself up to miss some major things that they are just going to end up bringing back around at the end that will
Sure.
kill the deal anyway. So you've just wasted a whole bunch of time and money doing this trial that maybe you should have never have gotten into.
potentially. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Chris said it earlier, and our job in a lot of times is to slow this down, and to make sure that we've got what we need because we know what we want to deliver at the end. So,
Right.
is almost to slow it down, because they'll be, hey, coat the parts and send them in next week. And we're like, hold on one second. Let's make sure that what we're doing is like the right stuff here for this.
Right.
So we definitely, sometimes, want to slow things down, but other times when we're excited, yeah, I mean, you want to get things going, you want to get updates, you want to get information, and then sometimes the customers go dark. Sometimes they don't return your calls or provide the data that they all agree they would provide, and so it gets challenging sometimes.
any
Yeah.
any special tips on how to get people to respond if they're not responding
I mean,
that you
I'm
can
gonna
legally
visit.
share?
yeah, I mean, if you say you're going to visit, I mean, yeah, you can wait outside, like at the Tim Hortons or the Dunkin' Donuts, because they're
Right.
getting coffee. Um, but yeah,
Stalker.
Chris, a lot of it is like, hey, I'm going to be in town. I'd love to come by and see the parts, and just say you're going to do a visit. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's good if it's feasible and you can do it. If it's a big enough opportunity, we've done flybys like that before.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
would make sense. There was something that you said before, Mike, that was funny too. Is like when you say that, you don't say, I'm going to visit next week.
No, yeah, never. Yeah,
Why?
because then they won't call until 2 weeks from now and be like, yeah, sorry, I missed you last week. Like,
Got it.
but
Unforeseen delay. I was out of
Yeah.
the office. I don't know what I was doing.
well,
Missed your message.
and that's the other part of this too, is these guys, the women, whoever you're working with, they're busy. They already have a
Right.
full-time job, right? So this trial is extra work. And then the last thing they need is Wolfie breathing down their neck all the time for test results.
And he
So,
will.
and we'll do the old, yeah, Comor. We have a meeting with Comores and we need to give them an update. We'll
Yeah,
hit them
do
with
that one
that
too.
because
Mhm.
who's breathing down our neck? Yeah, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Especially if they made
Dad's
something for you.
asking.
Yeah.
We really need to get this.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's
Dad's
a product
asking.
they made for us, like a special color or special formulation,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It's a must report.
Every Wolfie gets asked every 15 minutes.
Well, I mean,
He's been emailed 3 times this
Right, yeah, right.
recording. Oh,
it's rough.
man.
'Cause you don't want to disappoint either, and yeah, you'd like it to be a success, but it's hard when like they provide something and you're having trouble getting it off the ground. That's where it's a kind of a kick in the pants because you're like,
That's when they're like, all right, don't visit.
yeah, Trump. Well, Trump. Then you visit and be like, dude, we got to get this trial going, man. I mean, this is, come on. I can't take any more calls from Comores asking me like where we are, and I'm like, we haven't even started yet.
Parts are lost. Sorry.
Yeah.
And maybe I should rewatch this video and take notes because maybe I jumped into a trial too soon, right?
Seriously. I mean, if I
It
had
happens.
a
It
coding
always
business,
happens.
oh my God, I would tell everybody, listen, you got to listen to this episode once a month. I want you to write down these questions that you guys threw out. I want you to keep them on a desk somewhere. And if I'm a manager, you could build a training session around this topic. I mean, it's a lot of information, and it is the path to get some big new business or business that can really change things for you. So, and that's what I understand all coders really want.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, honestly, that's how this whole thing came about. This episode topic is because a customer asked me, he was relatively new in sales. He's experienced person, new in coding sales. Hey, I think I need to do a trial. Like, what should I keep in
What's
mind?
that
And I was
like?
like,
Right.
yeah, I'll write a couple things down. And as I started writing, I was like, man, there's more here than I
A lot.
thought. There's a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of facets to this diamond.
All right. Well, make sure that you have all of your bases covered as much as you can, and then still expect a saboteur now and then. It's kind of the whole gist of it. But, I think really this has been so great for everybody listening because, you get to show off what great people you are, great Teflon coating knowledge you have, and how generous you are with all of that to all of your customers. So listen, guys, if you are out there and you have a trial on the horizon or that's in motion now, we definitely want to hear about it. We want to know what has happened with your process, what has brought you success. And if you don't have a trial, you can get on that phone and start prospecting because we'll be here for you when you've got Teflon coating business that needs to deliver more than just a surface solution. So thanks everybody for listening, for watching, for subscribing, for commenting, for sharing, for liking, for all the things that help us help you. We will see you next time on Deliver More with me, Mike Wolfy from Delaware. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Wonder what the question's going to be here. It's
Maybe that's what she's thinking up the question.
Yeah, right.